Hey everybody, Indie Hole, Indie Hole, Indie Hole. Time for an Indie Hole. Look, good stack of indie books. And let's just say happy Memorial Day for everybody. Wearing a little army hat here for the occasion. And I guess I'll make an announcement about the Argo Comics Thunder Zone, which I've been posting about on Facebook. Basically, Argo Comics have been around 12 years now, have a great track record for putting out a good amount of volume, quality comics. High quality is more important than volume, but we've managed both. We have always finished our series, which I made a little post about. We just won't have a cliffhanger. I think that hurts indie comics sometimes, where it's almost acceptable. You're going to do your comic, someone's going to do one issue, they're going to end it on a cliffhanger, and they're like, okay, well, it didn't really sell well, and they don't feel any commitment to the reader of what would have happened. Um, Communicating that, finishing up their series. And I know that, probably turns some people off. They're like, well, I know, I won't be left not knowing plot threads, unresolved and unresolved cliffhangers and bigger companies. So they may be a little leery about that with indies. So I just kind of made an announcement that we'll be um, following through on our series, uh, making sure that everything is finishes up. Um, so basically, Argo Comics Thunder Zone be a separate imprint. It won't be tied into the regular Argo Comics universe. We'll have separate creators coming in with their own creator-owned properties. The amount of interaction they have with the other properties in the line will vary. Uh, but we're going for more of a connected universe type of feel to that line of comics. So there'll be more news on that as time progresses. You can go to my own YouTube channel, ARGO Comics, Argo Comics, and we'll be giving updates there. Now, getting into this haul, okay, the first book is a Kickstarter book, and okay, I'm gonna just censor it a little because I guess this cover was a little dope. But Fox and Hound is the name of the book. Okay, Scattered Comics is the name of the company, and created by N.S. Kane and John Rhodes. Story by N.S. Kane. Pencil and letters by John Rhodes. Okay, so Fox and Hound. I got number 1. I got number 2 here. See, they're wearing booty shorts, so this is not a nude cover. Don't get all crazed over that. Um, but we got the racy covers here, and the comic itself, is racy, but it's blended with a good story as well. Um, Sometimes indie comics, you know, it's hard to convey everything in the cover, and sometimes you'll have a racy cover, uh, which to some degree is marketing. I mean, a lot of indie comics, you say to yourself, well, Xenoscope is still around, so there must be something to all these racy covers and variants. So, at any rate, uh, I will pop it open and try to give a look at some pages that are reader friendly. Okay, so here they are going to kind of like a casino. The outfits look a little like 1920s, I'm gonna say. Is that what they where those dresses are from? Is the other page more of them in casual attire? Um, well, basically, so they're a female duo. Okay, indie comic fans might remember a comic called Double Impact that was a little bit along these lines, but they do have kind of like superhero personas, which you could see in this pinup, or this is actually the back cover, Fox and Hound. That being Fox, this being Hound. I noticed that Fox and Hound was about 2 inches taller, uh, and they were good about keeping that consistent. Because all too often, I think you kind of get into having just like a cookie cutter type of thing with only the costumes making people different. Um, so I paid attention to that detail. Uh, it was somewhat of a spy story. They had another partner, part of the story as well, another agent. There's a lot of like high adrenaline type of action. Trying to see what else we can take a look at. I told the artist who I communicated with actually that his style reminded me a bit of Mario Gully, known for creating Ant. Ant eventually made its way to Image Comics. And actually, Eric Larson procured the rights to that character. So Ant is now in Eric Larson's corner of the Imageverse. Again, that was issue 1 that I showed you a little bit about. So issue 2 kind of went into a little undercover action. Actually, both issues they did a little bit of that. I do like the costumed looks of these two. Okay, there's a great pinup of Fox right there. I do like the designs of the characters in costume. And overall, like I said, a good art quality. Colors are good. The action overall is good. People remembered Scattered Comics. They had been in my indie haul recently with Lucha Mystery. So now we get another book from Scattered, Fox and Hound. And as I said, the production value is very good. So I wouldn't hesitate. Art, colors, lettering. Let me see here. Yeah, I wouldn't really worry about what you're getting as far as quality is concerned. Okay, nice, detailed style to it. Some might even say 90s, which to me is a big compliment, being that is when the page rates were very high and comic art was kind of at its best. So there had been a little bit of a there's still, again, a lot of fantastic artists out these days, but overall there's probably been a dip, and somewhat of a simplification so people can kind of make a living at today's page rate. Um, kind of like a simplification. Also, with the whole Monera and Frank Cho stuff, they don't want women looking too sexy or anything like that. So I think the art kind of simplified a bit so that it would be more PC and less offensive to some. Um, so at any rate, that was Fox and Hound, another Kickstarter. I don't think I had this yet because I did receive this a little bit ago, but I think it was buried under some books. The Leaders of the Free World. Okay, now this, when I saw it on Kickstarter, I was very impressed with the art style. So I was eager to get it. And it really just has some great art and colors to it. That's not the best example. Let's find something a little better to give you an idea. I mean, just the cover alone. I love a good team shot, superhero team, and that does a nice job of showing one. Let's see. Okay. It's going to say credits on the inside front cover, but it's actually blank. Maybe they're doing drawings there at conventions on the inside front cover. But I'll zoom in on the creators right here so you know who is involved. Okay? And yeah, I had flipped through it. It looked very good. Art style really stands out. And I believe looks like it's going to be a pretty good story. From what I could see. Here's another little snippet of art there. Art and colors are just very, very nice. So if this has a general release, what do we got here? That's like Microscopic, the company name. Created by Corey Laquelle Pruitt and Elijah Isaiah Johnson. So I see that on the back, but didn't really see a company name. But I'll find out and I'll put it in the notes on the bottom when I'm posting the video. All right. I also picked up this Gear School, which unfortunately I hadn't known it. See, that's a comic book. This is Gear School, manga sized, or manga sized. Sorry, manga fans. Manga sized, which is not my preferred format. Comic. I mean, it has very good art. Story looks good. Lettering. Everything looks nice. So when I have good art, I kind of prefer to see it at full size rather than shrunken down to manga size. I guess there's less panels in general per page. You'll have the benefit of me zooming in. Okay, it's kind of a manga or anime inspired art style. But reading the reviews, And seeing the sample art made me want to go and seek this out. And let's see. Nope, it's a Dark Horse book, actually. So, Colorado, Paris, and Sandoval are the creators of this book. Okay. So, if it seems like it's your type of thing, that kind of reminds me of like Rocket Girl from Image to some degree. And I think she's more of a pilot, whereas Rocket Girl, I believe, had a rocket backpack. All right. Moving along, I got a chance to read. Okay. This might have been on a past haul, but I had not read it. Cat and Mouse. Okay, Cat and Mouse was a great series from Aircel back in the day. Roland Mann was the writer at that point. What stands out for me is that Mitch Bird, where I first saw his work, did fantastic art in that. So Roland Mann is back on this with pencils by Dean Zachary, inks by Barb Kalberg, and colors by Kevin Galeggi. Oh, wait. Galegli. Galegli. All right. So, having read it now, okay, the prelude does say that it's not the same characters, it's a different story. The story was well done and intriguing. Roland Mann is still a great writer on top of his game. Okay. I believe this character kind of shaded there. He's in kind of on the ground in the water. I believe he'll be Mouse, and this character here will be the new cat. They had a character back then in the old series that I think they made reference to here somewhere. Let me see, there's an ad. There's an ad for this Demon's Tale book. See, that's Paul Pelletier art right there, I could tell. Okay, that's available. Oh, there's a whole bunch of advertisements. That's available. Where do they say this is available? I don't know, but order print copies at Indie Planet. Okay, so I guess it's at Indie Planet where I order a lot of my indie books. But that demon was a character in the old Cat and Mouse series. You can find back issues of Cat and Mouse, highly recommended. And again, this is bringing the series with different characters into the modern day. Silverline used to be kind of like Roland's his own imprint within Aircel. So he had a few books that were under the Silverline banner. I was a big fan of them. So it looks like he's starting that back up, and it'll definitely be interesting to see where he goes with that. Give you a little bit of the art that's not so dark, so you can see that you're dealing with some nice art style there. Okay, so Got a nice painted cover in the back here. Okay, and the name is escaping my mind right now. With the other Silverline book that normally I'm much better than that on these titles. But I got the whole series. It was an armored male and a female with wind powers. The Storm is coming into my mind as far as the names, something in Storm. But, well, I'll have to chalk that one up to not getting enough sleep. But again, I did Silverstorm. Silverstorm. I believe that's it. Silverstorm. Um, again, the Silverline books were great, and I'm eager to see anything he puts out in the future. And talking about great lines of comics from the past, and my other indie hauls have raved about Tim Tyler's books. This is his newest, Blood Rain. Okay, another Kickstarter book. Okay, and as I said, he was a past publisher as well, starting with his old line, Fathom. Fathom was a line of comics. Okay. So, let's see. Red House is his new. I had followed him through any publishing name he had, which, like I said, Fathom it began with. I know he was at Doom Theater at one point. We got Red House currently. See, Red House Comics. This is Blood Rain. Okay, which was kind of Tim's breakout comic. Very well known at the time for being a black and white comic that infused red. So black, white, and red. And in actuality, in this issue, we see a return. Okay. Tim has not been doing this all throughout, but it must be an anniversary of sorts in that we are seeing the return of his black and white art with some red. Tim's art style is something that I really enjoy. I mean, you know what? Beyond the art, just look how he did this lettering here for Blood Rain. Like, again, he just laboriously does this fantastic detail and just really all around captivating work. Blood Rain, in case anyone's wondering, is pretty much a vampire. And I guess you'd call this gore to some degree. Okay, that art style. And it's just detailed beyond belief. And we got a little old school style comic ad on the back. That's the Blood Rain 0. This is Fiends 5. Okay, so Fiends is somewhat of an anthology. Been having a lot of great stories within. Super Frankenstein has been making appearances in this book. Is he in this one? I believe he probably is. Oh, look, we got a little art card here. Okay, so if you're a fan of the Forrest Ackerman, Famous Monsters, and all those monster rags of the 70s. Then you'll also find there's a certain appeal to this as well. It looks like there is Super Frankenstein in this, or that just might be regular Frankenstein. But be that as it may, I do, as I said, really enjoy Tim's art style. I mean, he really, I guess he's a labor of love, you would say, because, you know, right down from the art to the lettering. This one is magazine size, which serves his detail better. This is comic size. You can see the difference here. Look, not super different, but different. And I'd recommend just getting anything that Tim does, including those books. All right. Let's see. We had Puntt Press put out Globalist #2. Okay. So Nigel Flood. Let's see. He's a writer, pencilers, Luca Ciccitti and Luis Rivera. Colors, Mimo Relegado and Matt Bowers doing the letters. Okay. Now, Globalist, if you had the first issue, it's kind of like a bunch of superheroes who took over the planet. So they're kind of like enforcing the laws and eliminating crime by taking control of Earth. And now in this issue, we're seeing them, and I did get a chance to read it. It was a good read. Get to see them kind of looking out into the multitude of other universes with other superheroes. A good amount of cameos of other indie characters. I do recall Nigel Citizen having a little guest spot in Argo 5 #8. So I did put Nigel in my comics. I don't really see any of my characters in this, but okay. I still enjoy it. He's even gone into some of the public domain characters. That is Wonder Man, which Excelsior webcomics did a little series on Wonder Man. Comic Frontline fans may know Gordon Demowski from Zone 4. He was writing Wonder Man for Excelsior Comics. That's Carlos Henry's group. So we saw Wonder Man here and a few other public domain characters made appearances. And yeah, like I said, all throughout, you're getting good art. And like I said, it was broken up into two artists. Luca Ciccitti, I hadn't really seen before. He does nice work. Luis Rivera, I've seen quite a bit of in the past. And yeah, he always does some very good work. There's a little nice shot of them, the Globalists flying overhead. Is that the Globalists? Yeah. So, you know, they're kind of like an international team that have taken over their planet. And now, as I said, they're tempted to do the same within other planets and will undoubtedly butt heads with some other indie heroes. Okay, I received HB Comics putting out Hardcore and Lethal. Okay, let's see. Just looking at the credits here. I know DC White is kind of like the main driving force on this one. He drew the book, and he actually had drawn my book. He drew a pinup from my book. It's actually coming up very soon. So I think it's maybe Argo 5 number 32 will have my pinup by DC White. And let's see. He has a nice art style to him. Trying to find something. Ah, here we go. Nice little action shot of, I believe that's Hardcore. I think it's like a duo, kind of like Cat and Mouse. We had a duo before. Now we got a duo here. I think one of them was, I'm guessing he's Hardcore and she's Lethal. So it's Hardcore and Lethal. Okay, it was a Kickstarter. Oh, wait. You know what? Is this that art that I'm talking about right here? Because it did, yep. All right. A little black and white preview of DC White's Argo 5 pinup. Okay, as it was part of the Kickstarter, it came with the book. Really thought it was spectacular. It's been colored up, and it is in an upcoming Argo 5. Again, I believe it's issue 32, but equally exciting is the release of DC's own book, Hardcore and Lethal. They have a little ad here for the next issue. Okay, so they're going to be like an action duo. Let me maybe not show the last page in case there's a spoiler. Here's a nice picture of the two of them. So, yeah, art colors and letters all looking good. There's, you know, a good comedy element to it. Gotta like any book that has a bunch of Elvises or Elvi in the book. This is kind of representative of the art style. I'm trying to think who in particular that it might remind me of. Pretty distinct style. Maybe a little bit of Ron Lim influence in there. But like I said, good quality all throughout. And I will look forward to reading it. If I talk about books that I did get a chance to read already, we got Cougar and Cub. Okay, Cougar and Cub. I think, oh yeah, it's Action Lab. Cougar and Cub is written by Nick Marino. So Nick Marino, I've known for quite a bit, reading webcomics of his. So that was my first exposure. And he can be somewhat irreverent, which is why we got Cougar and Cub kind of making out there. See, these indie reviews, I shouldn't really... Oh, yeah. Because I was kind of drawing a blank for a second. But Super Haters. Super Haters was Nick's uh, webcomic where I discovered him, me personally, not like I discovered him, but where I personally discovered him on Super Haters. And I really loved that webcomic. So here we have his latest offering. So Cougar and Cub are these two. Let's see. Here we go. Okay. Oh, Cougar, Cub. So Cub is Cougar's sidekick. Okay. And as you can see on the cover, there's a little hanky-panky between them. And their villains are like, yikes, what's going on with that? I think the art style beckons back to, if anyone used to watch Ren and Stimpy, beyond just the regular Ren and Stimpy art, there were times where they would do like stills that were kind of like grotesque paintings or whatever. Um, and I think a whole generation of art, comic art, was kind of spawned out of that, to the point where, okay, it's not directly, it doesn't like look like those paintings, but I could see like an influence of it there. I mean, yeah, well, as you can see on that back cover, but I'll just show something else. The characters are, it's not standard comics by any means. The characters are really on a unique type of style. Just trying to, yeah. Okay, so it's definitely an alternative type style. Nothing like you'd normally see in mainstream. I mean, that's some heck of some foreshortening there. But yeah, overall, a lot of alliteration in this comic. And that was kind of a driving force through the narration bubbles. But all quite enjoyable. So, again, just a little off the beaten trail, but uh, in a good way, and on overdrive right from the get go. So I could see that being a good pull quote. And here they are, Cougar and Cub. So this is in the back issue by now. It's not a new release, but if it looks like your type of thing, you can hunt it down. And talking about things that are not a new release, but that I did take a chance on. So the Bobcat, who's a Native American hero, okay, and I had come to find out that it is heavily researched by its writer. Let me just see, James Hostler, okay, and Jim Melsling did the art. I think supposedly at a convention, because I heard James do like a podcast interview. I guess he was running the story by this artist, and the artist was like, "Oh, I got to draw that." And again, not a mainstream style, but a style that's probably good for this, being that's more historical. Okay. And we finally, here's a little picture. We get to see the bobcat. Yeah, so overall, everything I heard about the story sounded good. It's from Caliber Comics, has a long track record, and it's a trade, which that's generally my preferred method of picking up stuff. It was really, oh, this was a great pinup that I had seen on the web that really got me intrigued into seeing this series. Very cool art style right there. So, if you like some historical fiction mixed in with a little bit of light superheroes, I think I had just read the Lone Ranger Omnibus. So I had just got through something probably within the same period as this that I enjoyed a lot, which maybe even made me more open to checking it out. But yeah, I'll give it a read and we'll see what it's all about. I'll end off with a side note that I had gotten, some books, whether Kickstarter or through the mail, um, and the books were signed on the cover. And for myself, I prefer not to have my comics signed on the cover. So some people in their Kickstarters, what they do is they have an option there. Would you like your copy signed? And then I usually will say no. And I actually had someone who ordered, they reordered Argo 5 Volume 1 again. They already had it. And Argo 5 Volume 2 because they wanted signed copies. And I messaged them back because the shipping was already paid directly from the printer to them, but I didn't care. I was going to cover that. But I messaged them back saying, where do you want it signed? And, appropriately enough, where I might usually ask if someone's going to sign my book, he asked for the inside front cover. Because let's say, I have Sorority of Power, which is drawn magnificently a good amount of the time by Bill Mouse, and you might be a big Bill Mouse fan, and now you're ordering Sorority of Power to get that great Bill Mouse art, including that Bill Mouse cover, and I decide to take a Sharpie and scribble my name over it. I could see where, and rightly so for myself, I wouldn't be really into it. It's nothing against the creators, because I'm sure they believe they're probably, doing you a favor, because on certain Kickstarters there is a price hike to get your copy signed, and now they're signing it for free, and there's loads of people at conventions who are standing there waiting to get their comic signed. Uh, I'm a super fan, I guess, of comic art, and I might even be ordering a book with unknown expectations as to what will be inside the book, but at least I'm saying it's a nice cover. And then to have that cover, signed over in magic marker, for me, not that hot. So, I actually gave feedback to someone, one of the people, and had gotten replacement copies, which was very nice. And then there was another that I just, kind of didn't want to go through doing anything about it. Oh, actually, I have more books here. We are not done with the Indie Haul. Okay. We have Okay, the Almighty Street Team. Okay, good thing I remembered that I have these sitting here. Okay, the Almighty Street Team. We got issue 1. We got the Street Team Universe Guide. And then we have 2 issues of Punks of Rage. Punks of Rage. There's number 1. Punks of Rage number 2. Okay, good thing that I remembered I had these sitting here, being that would have been a while to the next Indie Haul video. I'm going to open up the Almighty Street Team. Now, the cover here is by Sean, I think it's just Allen, but Alleyyne.
So what was supposed to...
So, I know Sean from the conventions. He did an Argo 5 pinup. Really fantastic work. He's actually the inker in this book. Stanley Weaver Jr., Joseph Curry are the plot writer. Joseph Curry, Sean Allen, Coran Cortez, and James Mason. Sorry about that. Penciler, Stanley Weaver Jr., inker, Sean Allen, and could be Align. See, I always just call him Sean whenever I saw him at the conventions. And colorist James Mason. So they're all involved, I guess, in jumping in with the writing as well. Of note with this book is the fact that, okay, here's the comic, but the pages, okay, are up and down. Okay, the art, like I said, Sean did the inking, so you can still see his style, but the art in general is very good. And the coloring and lettering look good. Here is, oh, here we go. I think this is all Sean's art. This inside back cover here. Always love a cool team shot, which is what I liked on this cover also. I like the composition of this team shot. And the Street Team Universe Guide, kind of like one of those Marvel handbooks. And then Sean did some really great illustrations within this. Okay, so it's kind of like a handbook to the Marvel Universe, a DC guide, DC Who's Who rather. So you have entries for each person, and again, some great looking characters and some great art by Sean. Let's see. Punks of Rage. I think one of the Street Team characters is in Punks of Rage, because there's a dude with an identical hockey mask in this Punks of Rage that I see on the Almighty Street Team. Okay, this is a different art style. Still very good. A little more manga. Reminds me a little bit of Sky Owens, I'm a long-time fan of. But yeah, I mean, this dude here has the same hockey mask as the dude over in the Street Team. So I'm guessing, okay, again, could just be me, but it's kind of like a Sky Owens type of style. Created, written by Joe Robinson Curry, Cover art, Stanley Weaver. Interior colors, Corey Green. Oh, interior art and pinup art, Glyph Sputnik. Okay, so Glyph Sputnik did the interior art. As I said, he was the one who I'm saying had a little bit of influence. The Sky Owens. So who knows? I don't think. Well, I'm sure it's not him, but the mystery of Cliff Sputnik will live on. Glyph Sputnik. I think it's the same creative team on the second issue. Yep. Glyph is at it again. Glyph Sputnik. And I always like to give you a little bit of a look-see. Okay, so got a little skateboarding, a little Tony Hawk action going on here. Let's see. So and maybe a little Punks of Rage sketchbook on the way. So we'll add for that. Let's see. Okay, so that becomes, yeah, Strictly Underground. Oh, actually, the back cover gives it to you. Strictly Underground Comics is the name of the company. So you might want to check them out. All right. So I guess that'll do it now for this indie haul. You can keep coming back to Comic Frontline for all your comics news, reviews, and entertainment. Check out my own channel, Argo Comics, ARGO Comics, where I'll be giving some updates about the Thunder Zone. Go over there and subscribe. You can check out the Argo Comics Facebook page and the Argo Comics Thunder Zone group. That'll do it for this one, and we'll see you on the next Indie Haul.